Every now and then when I'm playing with friends, I like to bring the 2J and the BTSV out to show them what these little tanks are like. It usually provides a good source of entertainment, especially after trying to carry high tier games. So here we are on Corellia with Inigoat and Distracted. We have lucked out. We're in a tier 3 match and barely anything on the enemy team can actually pen my tank, especially from the front. So being Corellia and being in a very slow tank with very good armor, I'm going to go south. There's not really anywhere else I could go. If I went straight up the middle of the map, probably I'd survive. I'd be able to just drive straight into the enemy cap without really taking many hits, but I wouldn't be able to actually do much damage because very seldom do you actually encounter any tanks in the middle, even in low tier games. So south is the way to go, as it is in high tiers. If you want to have a good match, do damage, get shit done, this is where you head. Now there are Artie in this game, a Sexton and a Priest, and also a T57 on the enemy team. Our team only has 2 Artie, a Sexton and a Priest. Low tier Artie can actually damage the 2J, but quite often they either won't think to fire at it or they won't hit it. And so here it begins. I just wade straight into the open and sit in front of the enemy team, tanking hits. Inigoat was laughing the whole time on TeamSpeak. Artie is trying to hit me and missing constantly, despite the fact he's actually just up in F0 there, hiding behind a folding terrain or a bush or something. For those who may not have seen any 2J videos up to this point, the reason I'm carrying all gold is because this tank has really bad AP pen. 23 pen, and with gold, 46, which is still quite poor. I'm pretty sure that this 20mm flat gun is the stock gun from the Panzer 3, or sorry, Panzer 2, correction. So it's not a very powerful gun, but because it's on such a slow tank, and because it does otherwise have bad stats, Wargaming gave the gun very good handling from automatic cannon. So if you do load it with gold and you are up against things that don't have a lot of armor, you can actually tear shit up with it, as I am doing here. Distracted clears the Artie out for me, which is good since he was the only thing really threatening to me. And I terrorize the Stewart as he tries to get away. This is the typical reaction of pubbies to seeing a 2J. They will just back away in sheer terror once they realize they can't pen it. I stop a bit suddenly, and Inigoat can't get to his brakes in time. Our team's already taken the enemy base. I had most of the team tied up down here. And so they begin capping while Inigoat and I advance on this last guy and share him between us. The enemy BT2 has made it to our base, but it doesn't help him any because we've already got 3 on cap. In fact, we've got about 4 tanks, maybe 5 on cap looking at the minimap. So there's no way they can recover from that. Only 712 damage. Well, I say only, that's quite a lot for a tier 3 match. 4 kills, but I tanked a ridiculous amount of hits, which you should be able to see in the post-games, assuming I remembered to include them. This is pretty typical of a 2J in a tier 3 game. It really shines on Himmelsdorf, but even on this map it can do quite well. Really, the biggest problem you run into with the 2J is either if you come across a lot of Artie and they know how to aim, or you come across something like a Matilda, a D2, I think a D2. There's one of the low tier French tanks that the 2J can't pen. I think the D2 is it, or it may be another one I'm thinking of. The AMX38 actually, I know that one I can't pen. And the Duck, Valentine, basically anything at tier 4 which has actually quite good armor. Hetzes can be difficult, but you can pen them if you get around beside or behind. But for the most part, low tier tanks are very, very weakly armored. They rely more on mobility and decent guns than anything else. And so the 2J will just chew through them, assuming you can aim and assuming you do have a healthy stock of gold. Originally, I used to carry about half-half split on this tank, until I had a match where I ran out of APCR and then was unable to pen anything left. And so it was my 2J against, I think, about 6 or 7 enemy tanks. It took them about 5 minutes to kill me, and I ended up with a ridiculous amount of potential damage received before I finally exploded. That was actually the match where I discovered this can be penned by a Panzer 1C, which is to say it can be penned by basically anything, but it has to hit in really specific places. I think he actually may have snaked shots in under the back of my turret and hit my turret ring. Because he was right up against me, he was pushed up in contact with the rear of my tank, so I'm not sure where he hit me exactly. I know the rear armor is too thick, the engine deck is too sloped, or too close to parallel with his gun, and he wasn't shooting me in the side, so I think he might have hit my turret ring. The viewports are also a weak spot, the cupola not so much. So there are places that this can be penned by tanks in tier 3, but most pubbies either will auto-aim or just don't know where to aim for, and so you'll end up getting a ridiculous amount of bounces. Anyway, thank you for watching. As ever, there'll be plenty more where this came from. Wish you the best of luck in game, and I will see you next time.